able to have this recorded. So just give me 1 second. I just want to make sure everything is going. Okay, we're good. All right, good morning. My name's Tyson Carter. I am the School Improvement Coordinator for the State Department of Education. I'm here joined with Karen C., the Federal Programs Director, and Michelle Clement Taylor, our School Choice Coordinator. We're I'll be the lead on this, but as we go through some of these slides that we have to present to you today, they'll be joining in maybe with some additional information. A couple of things before we get started. I have everybody on mute, so if you do have questions, please type them in the Zoom group chat box, and we'll try to answer them as we get to them. Also, remember that if you have specific individual questions for your schools, if you could keep those to the end and then either email us or give us a call, and then we'll have time to set up or just right after be able to sit down and talk with you about specific questions. If it applies to the larger group of schools, then go ahead and put it in the chat box. Otherwise, we will just wait and so we can talk about what really applies to your school. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch over to our PowerPoint, and we're going to take the next at least hour. We'll go through the PowerPoint, and then we'll answer questions either in the middle if we get to them or towards the end. Okay, and there it is. I just need to, yes, I'm trying to find it.
You can do it down here too.
Okay. All right, so again, like we said, welcome. This is the CSI Up Information Webinar. And to the next slide. What is CSI Up? Well, our CSI is our Comprehensive Support and Improvement Underperforming Schools. They are our lowest 5% of Idaho schools. Within that, we have three categories. We have our K-8 schools, our high schools, which are schools with grade 12, and all alternative high schools. This is different than in previous years. We have now formed three different groups so that alternative high schools are not lumped right in with high schools. What does this look like for Idaho? Well, in our K-8 schools, we have 22 schools identified. Our high schools, we have 5 schools identified, and all alternative schools, we have 2, for a total of 29 schools identified for support and improvement. So how were the CSI Up K-8 schools identified? The identification is based on the following academic and other indicators. The first one is ISAT English Language Arts Proficiency. The next one is ISAT Math Proficiency. Then you have ISAT ELA Growth, Math Growth, EL Growth in Proficiency, Student Engagement Survey, and then Student Testing Participation. Identification for CSI Up High School and alternative schools, a little bit different. The first two are the same. They still used ISAT ELA Proficiency and Math Proficiency in ISAT. Then we use the Growth and Proficiency for EL. Then you add in graduation rate, college and career ready courses, and student testing participation. And with graduation rate, that is only 1 year. What's different this time around? Well, we hope that there are a lot of things that are different this time around. We've spent at least a year, year and a half planning for basically right now. We've done a lot of planning, a lot of meetings. We've also done a pilot, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But some of the things that are different are the strengths-based model that we want to focus on. We've also built a state technical assistance team called STAP. This team consists of SDE directors, coordinators, content experts here at the SDE, but it's also going to contain people from the district and building leadership teams and a capacity builder. So it's going to be a team that a lot of people are part of, and within that team, in the last year, we did a STAT pilot, which consisted of 7 schools that participated. on a trial basis. And within that year, we have spent a lot of time looking at our school improvement planning process, how we will do check-ins, what it means to be in school improvement. And it was a really good pilot. We brought together the 7 schools, and we did a convening, which we'll talk about also. That convening was, again, we brought a leadership team from each of the buildings together along with the SDE and had a very good 2 days that we worked around, and we're hoping to be able to do that same thing coming up and have that same type of 2 days. The next thing that is different is, like I said, we're going to have statewide convenings. Those are going to happen in September, and we'll talk more about those in a moment. With those statewide convenings, we're hoping that each school identified will be able to bring a team, leadership team together that consists not only of the building leadership, but of teachers that are that are high, that really do have a lot of experience in their school, and are some that they will be able to have experience with other teachers. Another person within that statewide convening we're hoping to be there is their capacity builder. They're a counselor or a federal programs person, and it's going to consist of 4 to 5 people for each of those teams. Now, we know that the smaller schools will have a harder time putting 4 to 5 people together, but we want you to be able to have the people that you need there at the convening that's going to help with your planning. So we will get more into that in just a moment. Next thing that's different is we're going to have ongoing Zoom check-ins with each school. We piloted these Zoom check-ins with our stat pilot schools. They're used for school improvement planning and implementation. And within those, we have the differentiated technical assistance. The check-ins were anywhere from a half hour to an hour. It consisted of some of the stat team here at the SDE, building leadership teams, teachers, and they were really good. Just sit down over the phone, over the computer, talks about how their school improvement planning is going, what their needs are, what challenges they're having, letting us know their triumphs and things that are going well. And that's something we don't usually hear a lot about, is how well things are going and the way that they're turning things around. And so it was a good time for us to be able to hear those things and be able to share in their triumphs. The next thing that's different is the formula funding for all title CSI Up schools. Before, it was based on a competitive grant, and those grants were very, very huge, and sometimes the grants were too big and money couldn't all be spent, and they went to a few schools. This way, we're being able to give funds to all Title I CSI schools, and those are going to be based on formula and then per pupil. And then the last thing is, for our non-Title I schools, we'll be able to have travel reimbursement funds for each of those teams that are from non-title schools to our statewide convenings. Did I miss anything? Okay. Just checking with our team here to make sure I didn't miss anything. What kind of support can CSI Up schools expect? Well, you're going to expect 3 years of support and assistance, technical assistance in the form of whether it's when we do our regular check-ins, whether it's you need to have, whether it's our ELA or math people come out and talk with you. If you want family and community engagement help, that you'd like to have Jill come out and speak with you. The technical assistance is we're trying to make it as wide as possible to meet the needs that you might have. Convenings that we're going to have at least 2 different convenings this first year. The first one will be in October, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Sorry, September. It'll be in September, and then the second one shall be sometime in the spring. We'll have regular check-ins, and those check-ins consist of Zoom meetings, kind of like this, with your leadership teams. And we do it this way so people at the building level can be on, people at the district level, your capacity builder, which might not be in the school at that time, can be on. Teachers, if the leadership team is over at the district and teachers still want to be on the call, they can be on the call from the school. So we try to do that through Zoom and have those regular check-ins to see how the planning is going, and so that we can get to an approved plan as soon as possible. There will be financial assistance. There is school improvement money that will go to each CSI Up title school. Capacity builder, we will have one-on-one school improvement coach in your building and within your district to help with your school improvement planning. And then we'll also have funds that are for the effective leadership PD that will help reimburse superintendents, principals, and teachers to attend some of our effective leadership PDs, such as the Idaho Superintendents Network, the Idaho Principals Network, the Mentoring for Principals, and then Northwest Rise.
Tyson, we have a question about reimbursement. It says, we are a title school, but as you know, title funds are limited. Do you want to explain that these are additional funds?
Yes, these are additional funds that are above and beyond your Title I funds that you'll receive through your CFSGA. These funds are separate from that. They will be based on a figure amount. If you have over 20 students, it'll be a base amount of $50,000 and then per pupil on top of that. If you have 19 students or less, then it will be $25,000 and then based on a per pupil amount on top of that as well.
And if I could just add, this is Karen, at the September 10th and 11th convening, each district will sign an assurance page, and then as soon as that assurance page is signed, then $7,500 will be available to the school through the district for travel expenses.
So Tyson, another question, and this is kind of getting into the weeds, but that's okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Will the reimbursements include paying for substitutes while the leadership team is out of the building?
Yes, that will be one of the ways you can use that money is to hire substitutes so that leadership teams can meet.
And then another one, the allocations again are $50,000 per school if you have more than 20 students, plus there's a per pupil additional add-on for that based on the size of, for each student that's in the school. If you have less than 20 students, meaning 19 or fewer, it will be $25,000. There will also be the per pupil amount added into that. So,
and you'll get a financial sheet on September 10th.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll move on.
Moving on. Okay, now here is the convening that I keep referencing, and Karen mentioned the September 10th and 11th meeting, and coming up very soon is going to be a CSI Up Building on Strengths kickoff meeting. So basically we're bringing all of our CSI Up schools together with their leadership teams to meet at the BSU Jordan Ballroom. It's going to be basically 8 to 4 both days, so plan on being there both days. We know that it is short notice, but we want you to get that on your calendars and look at which teachers that you want to bring, whether you're going to bring a counselor, whether you're bringing your federal programs director, hopefully a superintendent and principal will be there. In the past, when we did our pilot, we found that it's if everyone is there that needs to be there, it is very powerful. A lot of discussion is had and a lot of headway is made, especially in the planning process. Attendance is critical. And we just wanted to give you a brief agenda kind of overview of what the topics are going to be. The first one, the importance of school culture, building effective leadership teams, engaging stakeholders, and then we'll talk about the funding, about the school improvement planning tool itself, the SWIP, and how all that kind of fits together. I'm really excited for building our effective leadership teams. I just know that a lot of schools have leadership teams or they're putting them together. This will really help make those leadership teams, I think, a lot more effective and really help you move forward with your school. Like we said, who to bring. We are hoping your leadership team will have at least 5 people recommended. We know if you're a smaller school, 5 people is really, really very tough. You might not even have 5 people in your whole school. So we just want you to bring the people who are going to be influencers. Have your superintendent there. If your superintendent and principal are the same person, then we would like that person to be there, along with 2 teachers who are influencers in your building, and then either a federal programs director, a counselor, somebody else that you feel that needs to be there to help lead this move this leadership team forward.
Tyson, we have a couple more questions. Glad you guys are asking them, by the way. Thank you. The question is basically, is it set at 5 people or is a 6th allowed? And if you want to have a 6th person that's going to be contributing, please bring them. We just didn't want to set too big of a group and have you say, oh, there's no way we can bring 10 people or whatever.
Exactly.
So
if they're going to be there and they're crucial to be there and you feel they're crucial, yes, please bring them. We've had questions on both sides. How many can we bring, and then do we have to bring 5? Can we have less than 5? And we'd really like to have 4 or 5, even in the small schools, if you could bring 4. We just want to have people there so you can collaborate, so you can talk with other people in your group. And then so when you do have a collaboration with some other teams, there's enough people there to really talk and have some good conversation. So good question.
Next one, just as a reminder, this is being recorded and we will have it posted on the school improvement website. So if you missed the beginning, it will be available for you. And then there was another question in terms of the $25,000 per year. That they start out the beginning of the year with 5 students, they end the year with 30 students. So we'll be looking at your average enrollment. So we'll go back if we need to historically and see how many students that you have on average.
Yes,
So,
that's a good question. Yes, we'll be doing that. So we know there are some that start the year, with only a few and end with a lot more. And we don't want that to hold you at that point. Okay, so those are kind of the brief overview of what it means to be a CSI underperforming school. We didn't want to get too far in the weeds right now. A lot more of what we're going to explain and dive into is going to be on the 9th or the 10th and 11th of September. And as we go through this, this process, we want you to know that we are very committed to this process. We did a trial run on it. We have had schools that have been through the process with us, and they've found it to be beneficial. We want this to be different, and I know that you hear that a lot. This time's going to be different this time around. Well, we really are hoping that we make this different. We are in this together. We want children to succeed. We want you to succeed, and we want this to be as positive as possible. So now we're going to kind of open it up to, we've been doing questions all along, which was great, but if you do have questions, like, what's on your mind? Is there anything you're worried about? Is there anything you need right now from us as we begin this journey?
Tyson, one question that I had from a school that had been identified for school improvement before is, what tool are we going to be using for the school improvement planning? And I know that you're planning on talking about that at the on September 10th, but can you just give us a brief explanation?
That's a great question. We are going to be using our SWIP, which is our school-wide improvement plan. We've combined our school-wide plan and school improvement plan together so that you only have to write one plan. We have a lot of schools that have already completed a school-wide plan. We have some schools that have done a school-wide plan and a school improvement plan. Those would be our pilot schools. And so that's the tool you'll use. It's on the website. We'll be having be talking more about how to use the SWIP at the 10th and 11th, but we also at the new federal programs director meeting we'll be going over a little bit about the SWIP. And then we can also we'll be having a webinar for some of our other schools that will invite everyone to be able to see how to use the SWIP tool itself. And this in your capacity builder has been trained in the SWIP and will know how to use the SWIP tool as well, and will help your school and your district through that as you move through that. It's a good tool. It's on our website. If you have not accessed it yet, you can go to the school improvement webpage, and there is a button there, a link to the SWIP, and you can go in and check it out.
Okay, we have some more questions, comments. So right now, because we didn't know until earlier this week the schools that were identified, we don't know the per pupil allocation yet. We will know that and provide that information for you on September 10th. We do have capacity builders that have alternative school experience, so we can provide support that way. In terms of the data that was used, it was based on 1 year of data for the proficiency, for the ELPA. Obviously this year was the first year of the student survey. With the growth calculations, that was used with data from last year and this year to create the trajectory for the growth. So hopefully that answers the question. Let's see, sorry, I've got a couple others. How does the enrollment affect the school status? It it would potentially affect participation, but Joel, I think this is a question we're going to need to look at and maybe talk with you about. So I'm not 100% certain what you're asking. So if you could email us or call us afterwards, we can answer that. And then there are several middle schools that were identified. So for those middle schools, it's just the enrollment for that middle school. If the school is actually set up as a K-8 school, then it's based on the enrollment for the K-8. So, and the data would be based on the enrollment for the K-8. Depends on how the school is set up. So I don't know if that answers that question completely or not.
Regarding the data question, capacity builders will have access to extensive district and school data that they will share with you when they meet with you. I have a question, Tyson.
Yes.
What do you tell parents who have just discovered at the start of the school year that their school has been identified as a low-performing school?
Well, I would tell them that, first of all, they aren't the failing and they're not the worst school. That's our message. Our message to our schools, and hopefully our schools and districts will message out to our parents, is that, you know, this SDE has limited resources to support schools, and we want to make sure we direct them to the most that are in need. And we believe that the schools can do it, and all we're doing is trying to provide support to those schools and to those districts, and not shame. We know that everyone can improve, and we are, this time around, we're here to help, we're here to support. We want to make sure that we give everything we can, not just funding and not just resources, but our own time and our own skills to help schools succeed and help the district succeed. So
I would add one more thing to that, and that I think one of the things that we sometimes forget is that parents look at a lot of different things in their schools and what's important to them. That student safety and feeling like they belong and are loved and well cared for during the day are every bit as important as the academics for some parents. So talking about the strengths of your school, the things that you are doing well when you talk with your parents, if they ask that question, is important.
And yeah, along with that is, I think it's even more so than just talking with the parents. You're really trying to get all stakeholders engaged. So going farther out into your community than just your parents, and really engaging your stakeholders. You know, showing them, highlight what you're doing and how this new support will fuel your plan to improve. You know, how is the extra support we're going to give, how is that going to really add the fuel to the fire to really help your school grow?
There's another question, and I know there are several of you on the line that are alternative middle schools. And with the way the accountability system was set up, the grouping for the alternative schools is only for the alternative high school. So if you're an alternative middle school, you are grouped with the K-8 schools. So you're one of the schools that are in that classification.
So,
yeah.
Is there any other questions?
Actually, I just heard from Shasta at BSU, and I believe I have been saying that the September 10th and 11th will be in the Jordan Ballroom, but it's actually going to be in the Simplot Ballroom. So we will make that change.
We'll make that change when it goes, and we'll have the PowerPoint on here as well. So if you don't want to listen to the whole recording, we'll have the PowerPoint. But that is a change to the Simplot Ballroom, not the Jordan Ballroom. And at BSU. So this afternoon or tomorrow morning, I will be sending out an email to basically the same people that this Zoom meeting went out to, superintendents, principals, with all of those details and hotels that you can get reservations at that have room blocks. And so we'll be getting all that information out to you this afternoon or tomorrow morning. And again, like we said, for those, for all schools, there'll be additional funding right up front to help reimburse schools for travel and to get everyone there. Yes.
Go ahead.
And our last slide, I wanted to show to you. If anything else, this is a slide where if you do have additional questions and are not sure exactly who to contact or how to contact us, please use this slide right here. For questions about the CSI Underperforming School Improvement, you can email or call me. The fastest way usually is email. For questions about school identification and data, you can email or call Carlin Laraway. For alternative schools and CSI grad schools, which we're going to be having a webinar just about a half an hour or so after this one finishes at 10:30. And then for questions about funding, you can email Elmira. For travel reimbursements that are going to go with the 10th and 11th in September, you can email Lisa English. And then if all else fails and they can't get your answer question or you can't get a hold of somebody, please email or call Karen C.
So we do have a few more questions, and I think this one is really important for you all to hear, and it's what we've really been working on. Is the question was, how do we help teachers understand that this is not like the old AYP jail? And for anybody else who remembers, oh, you know, they were going to take over our schools, or we had to get rid of half the teachers or whatever, that's not part of our plan at all. If you look at the comprehensive school improvement plan, it's not there. We don't have to give parents the option to choose a different school with the school choice or SES that we did previously. With the changes to the Every Student Succeeds Act, a lot of the control was put back to the state, but even more so to the districts to make the decisions in terms of how are you going to make changes in your school and what are you going to do for it. So I think that's part of talking with your teachers and letting them know that, hey, this is nothing like what happened before. You'll see when the lists come out today, it's not a ranking. You don't have any kind of letters or anything on it saying that, oh, you're a one-star school. That's not there any longer. We also will be releasing with the list, there are lists of those schools that are in the higher performing categories as well. So at a district level, you can celebrate those successes. Well, yeah, we may have some challenges in one school, we're working on those, but look at these other great things that we're doing, and we can lean on those other schools to help them out. So that's something to consider with it. I don't know if that completely alleviates it, but you can look at that. I do know when you see the list, it's kind of exciting to see who's there and in terms of the high performing, because then you know who to contact. Hey, we know we have a problem with, and this school in our district is scoring in the 90th percentile, so let's contact them. So that would be one of the things. The other thing to be aware of is that the accountability team has some different, on their webpage, they have some different handouts that explain more about the data. And they will also have, for lack of better words, a document that explains the business rules, and they're finishing that up, and it will be posted potentially in the next few weeks. So I would say if you have specific questions about the data or how things were calculated, call or email Carlin Laraway. She's the one that, her team did all the calculations and worked that out. So that may be helpful. Tyson's kind of looking at some of the other questions here. We do have some that came in privately, so he'll work on some private notifications and send those back to you.
Yes, so sorry, I had back and forth a lot of questions here. Let's see here. And like I said, if you do have additional questions, you can email us after this. If you have schools that are in grad school, CSI grad identification, like I said, we'll be having that meeting. Actually, it's about less than an hour from now at 10:30. And if you did not get an invite and want to be on that webinar, please let me know and I'll get those sent out before that time.
There was one final question that we're going to answer in terms of seeing the data that was used for the calculations. As I mentioned, there are spreadsheets that will be coming out this afternoon with a notification. It will be part of the public release. If that doesn't answer your question, then contact Carlin. about the data. I don't know that any of the specific data will be posted before the school report card is released.
And yeah.
That should be it.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of going back. So I was a couple questions back, answering questions. I just wanted to add a little bit to the how will the teacher understand that this is not like the old AYP jail. I'm hoping, you know, that between our work with you and the way we're going to be doing things differently, the teachers will see that. People, like I said, people aren't going to be losing jobs. They're not getting, you know, we're not holding anybody out to dry. It is, we are here to make sure that we're helping, and we're not here to shame, and we're definitely not here to just say your school is a horrible school. What we want to be able to do is show you that we're here to help, and the only way by doing that is actually walking the walk. So I hope we do that for you.
Thank you for participating and calling in. We know it's a really busy time of the school year, or for the start of the school year, and we appreciate this. And if there are people from your district that weren't able to attend, make sure that you share the information with them. And Tyson, as he said, will be posting this on the school improvement website so you can go back and review it.
Yes, we will. And if it's not up there as soon as you'd want, let me know and we'll see if we can get that emailed to you. We want to make sure that all the formatting and everything is correct before we put it on the website, so it might take a day or two, so let us have that. But if you need it before that, let me know. And our biggest takeaway from this is to make sure you remember the kickoff meeting on September 10th and 11th. Just make sure you're saving that date and be looking for an email to go ahead and be able to register with that and to find hotels and questions about travel. Okay, anything else you'd like to add, Karen or Michelle?
Nope.
Okay, thank you very much. We don't have any more questions, so we will end this webinar right now, and we will see some of you in less than an hour. Okay, goodbye.
Here's what occurs to me. We got to get past this. Nobody's still on.